We're very privileged, very pleased that you could join us for this final workshop on this project, Regional Futures. You can see that on the screen here. Regional Futures is a ERC, European Research Council funded project. It's a 5-year project from 2022 to end of 2026. And it's basically a comparative research project between India, Kenya, and Mexico. The subtitle is Territorial Politics of Digitalization as Urbanization in the Global South. It's been led by myself. I'm Professor Ayona Datta from University College London. And we have partners in the 3 countries. In India, our partner is Tata Institute of Social Sciences. In Kenya, our partner is BIEA, British Institute of Eastern Africa. And in Mexico, our partner is University of Guadalajara. And we have local teams in each of these places. So in Mumbai, we have, of course, Abdul Shaban, who you see on the screen and here physically, and Neha, who all of you know very well, because she's the one who's been doing our groundwork over here for the last 2 years. Our fieldwork and data collection is finishing now, basically now, and anything left will be finished by the end of this year. So this workshop is really important for us to talk to the stakeholders who've been interacting with for the past 2.5 years, who've been so kind and so generous in giving us all the information, in talking to us and engaging with us. Being very patient with us because we really didn't know anything about this topic, and giving us all the information, answering all our questions very patiently. So we're very grateful, and that's why we've organized this workshop. It's the second of 2 workshops. We conducted one last year, and this is the second one. And we've done similar workshops in Kenya and in Mexico. Just before we give a little bit more introduction to this workshop and to our speakers, I just wanted to also show you the bigger idea of this project. So this project has basically 6 research questions, or 6 questions that we want to answer across the 3 countries. And there are 3 themes. So the first theme is about the digitalizing state, which of course all of you stakeholders here know much more about than we do. It's about how the state is digitalizing all of its processes. Particularly, we are very interested in the planning and land governance and urbanization aspect, because the project Regional Futures is about the dynamics between digitalization and urbanization. So the 2 questions we ask at this digitalizing state theme is, how is the digitalizing state assembled at the municipal scale? And how does the digitalizing state automate urbanization? We say here municipal scale, but of course, when we look at the municipal scale, we're actually looking at all scales of governance, land governance, because the municipality is not independent. It's of course connected to all the other scales of the state. The second question we're asking, and it's related to the digitalization of the state, is about the information infrastructures. And we're not calling it data, because data is the raw collection of information, but information is when data begins to have meaning. So we're trying to understand what is meaningful about all the data the state has and about land governance. So we want to ask, how is information stored, circulated, and retrieved? And the key part of this is, how is information being translated from paper to digital? And what happens, what gets transferred, what gets left behind, and why does it get left behind? Why do certain information gets transferred into digital platforms? And then, of course, the key thing why you're all here is about the territorialization of this information. How does information infrastructures get territorialized, as in, how does it get geospatialized? How does it get put in these land information platforms? The territorial aspect of information, where it has a geographic component. And then the third theme is territorial politics. How does digitalization capture new territories for expansion? So of course, the land governance, land administration platforms, where you're trying to map everything, is very important, because you need to see where are these territories, new areas that have been left behind. And of course, that has an impact on what kinds of urbanization, what kinds of master planning, planning for the futures will happen. And then the last and final question around territory is, how is territorial expansion contested and disrupted in the peripheries? So this is more coming from the citizens, from the owners, the landowners, the land, people who are occupying land. How is this contested and disrupted? And particularly in the peripheries, because the peripheries of metropolitan regions like Mumbai is where rapid urbanization is happening. So this is just a map, as I've already said, of the 4 continents that we're working in. I'm of course located here in London, and I have 2 postdoctoral research fellows working with me. In India, of course, there's Shaban and Neha. In Kenya and then Mexico, we have similar teams. So that's basically the main idea of the project. And what we shall do today, therefore, is we have some very important speakers from Pune and from Mumbai, and they need no introduction, but of course, my collaborator Shaban will introduce each of you. The way we will run this, we have first the keynote from a very important person, Mr. Sudhanshu, who has been the settlement commissioner in Pune, but now, of course, you have moved to YASHADA, who has a wealth of information and understanding and experience about this issue of land administration and land governance. So we will have 3 back-to-back keynotes. The first one from Mr. Sudhanshu, second one from Mr. Shekhar Gaikwad from YASHADA, and the third one from Ms. Sarita Narke from, again, the Settlement Commissioner's Office in Pune. And each of you, if you can keep your talk to about 20-25 minutes, then at the end of the 3 keynotes, we will have a Q&A, which will bring together all 3 of your talks and question answers. But what we really want out of this workshop in the end is to have a really engaging, rich discussion, a respectful discussion in which all of us can contribute, all of us can ask questions, but also in the end, we would like to come away with some recommendations and suggestions for the future, coming from each of your experiences, each of your perspectives. That's why we have kept the talk at a smaller, a shorter duration, and we've kept longer duration for the Q&A and discussion. So that's kind of the structure of the day today. So I'll now pass on to Shaban, who is our lead collaborator here in India, who will introduce Mr. Sudhanshu. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Raina. Shri N.K. Sudhanshu is a senior IS officer. Currently, he is holding the DG post of YASHADA, Director General of YASHADA, heading the institution. And this YASHADA is Yashwantrao Chauhan Academy of Development Administration, which is the administrative and training institute of the government of Maharashtra. Just before that, when we all met, sir, he was as a supplement and commissioner and director of the land records earlier in the land commission office. But he has many achievements and somebody who really motivates with his idea, given that he is actually trained in technology. His education is from the Indian Institute of, Indian School of Mines from Dhanbad, and he is also educated from IIM Bangalore. So, sir, it's a really pleasure that you could join. Unfortunately, you could not travel. I know that this is a situation, but we look forward that personally you will visit us. And over to you, sir.
Good morning, and thank you, Iona and Saban, for organizing this and inviting me. I would have loved to be there in person and talk to you, because then the question answers could have been better targeted, better explained, but it's fine. And I'll try and limit myself to 25 minutes. Okay, so I have started my stopwatch. It's a very interesting topic. Very interesting. I was going through the words. So what is it? What interests me is, as you say, as you mentioned, territorial politics. That's a very interesting word, a point of view actually, to look at maps, to look at land records, and overall to look at how we see the geography. Last night I was thinking about why are we even discussing this topic and why it is becoming important, and why maps and land records are becoming important. I mean, it has gained a lot of importance recently. So I thought that there are 3 waves in which we have, in the history, we have created maps and records about land. The first was, as you may be aware, the first maps were created by the travelers and then traders. Those were needed for them, for their purposes, through sea, through land. They were not very accurate. The second wave of creation of maps and records was by colonialists, imperialists, those who wanted to govern land, and for governing land, they wanted to understand the territory. So from then on, and it needed to be very accurate. So that is when the actual mapping and creation of records started. And that gave us an overview, a bird's eye view of what lies within my territory or the colony that I own, etc. I think now most of the states are independent throughout the world. But I think coming of this technology of drone and satellite imagery, high resolution satellite imagery especially, and the GPS, GNSS, very high technology. This is going to create the third wave where the details of the map is not only very accurate, very precise, but it's very manipulable. We can analyze it, we can use it, we can transfer it, and we can use it for purposes that were never thought of. And that is where I think the power of putting or digitizing and putting it in the public domain in a GIS based platform is going to be very important, and India has realized it very early. It's not very early, but now we have realized that this is going to be important, and that's why in the National Geospatial Policy of 21 and followed by 22, basically makes everything open. All the data relating to maps, data relating to the aspects related to land are to be made public, so that people can use, businesses can use, and they can provide services over and above it. That's why we have today Survey of India opening up its website and uploading everything that they have in digital form, accessible to public. They have been tasked, the Survey of India has been tasked with a responsibility of making the 3D digital twin of the entire country. That is to be achieved by, I think, 2030. It's a very big task. We are also in Maharashtra part of this process, and I hope this is going to be a very significant shift in how we administer land, how we administer municipalities, how we tackle urbanization. So the focus here is on urbanization. Urbanization actually in India has been very organic. It's not that we have planned a lot in advance and then we have urbanized the spaces. Actually, the urbanization has happened and then we have started planning and doing something about it. So the peri-urban areas in Maharashtra or in the country they are the places where we need to focus in case we need to have a very good planning of urban India, because as we know, we are already exploding. We are already exploding with urban population. Officially, Maharashtra is close to 50%, but we know in reality it is very, very close to maybe 70% of urbanization, because as for the definition, urbanization is different. In reality, urbanization is different. All the peri-urban areas that you see around Mumbai, in the MMR region, probably they will not qualify as urban area as per the definition, but they are urban areas. We know that. So what digitization has done, and I'm talking about the land record related digitization, and let me also point out that there is a paradigm shift in what we think as land record. Till now, at least in my experience, what we were thinking of as land record is the textual record that we have, where a person is shown as owner, or he or she has been shown as having some right over land. And there are other details also, for example, crop related details, other details. So that was considered in general view, in common parlance, that was considered as a record, whether it is urban or rural record. However, with coming of this technology, we know that Swamitva has been implemented in the country. Now we are trying to implement Naksha, which is like city survey using drone technology. So coming of this technology of GIS, satellite-based map and GIS-based maps, this is going to put the map in the forefront of land record. As we now understand, and we all know that when you are creating land record, it is the map that gets created first, and not the ownership. Ownership comes after the maps are created. But over a period of time, we came to think that the ownership record is a land record. Actually, ownership record is a secondary record. The primary record is the map. And now, since this is becoming easier and easier, we are seeing a shift in the entire country in the thinking that let us first tackle the accuracy map of the maps that we have, because most of the disputes that we have today, and in revenue, those who are aware about revenue or those who are owning land, they will understand most of the disputes today that we have, they originate from the boundary. And boundary is totally non-transparent if it is on paper. It is locally administered. If it is on paper, it is locally administered. But coming of GIS has made it possible for all of us to not only put it in a on platform in a digital format, but to work on it also, not only by the government, but also by common people. We know that you can go to Gati Sakti, you can go to any portal, Bhuvan, etc., and actually get a good amount of data in your storage device also. Yesterday I was speaking to somebody, a startup in IT Powai, and with the public data that is available of Maharashtra relating to so many departments, for example, land record data in form of map, in form of ROR, in form of crop record, in form of the development plan of cities, that's also being made public. And there are other crop related data from irrigation, forest, PWD. So they have collated all this data and put it on a platform and started a service where sitting anywhere in the world, you can get a plot level data detail and an opinion of that particular company about what is the quality of that particular land. There are various parameters. I mean, the quality can be on the basis of record, quality can be on the basis of its agricultural potential, industrial potential, etc. So many parameters are there. So these kind of services are being created only because the data is being now made available to public. And that's also one of the important things that we have to make sure as a government, that the data is not only, I mean, the record is not only digitized. Digitization is one part, but it is also made public. And not only made public, but also it should be available in a form which can be manipulated, meaning which can be analyzed. Obviously, the source of truth is only one. In this case, for example, it will be only a revenue department which will give you a digitally signed data, but you can use it to provide various kind of services. And there are so many layers today. Mahabhumi project that Maharashtra is running, MRSAC is coordinating, it has 450 layers now. So it's a huge amount of information that is available relating to forest, relating to roads, relating to utilities. And this is particularly useful. Obviously, it's useful for all the planning related data, and the Gram Panchayat Development Program plans, GPDP, in the rural areas, which is an official program for the last, I think, 7-8 years by the government of India, that is using our maps now. But most importantly, it is the urban area which is urban organizations, ULBs, which are using our data, because the urban land use or the land use data that urban organizations are creating, they have very little meaning unless they are populated with the data relating to the ownership of that particular piece of land. And that was difficult till the time we had only paper maps. So now, since we have everything on GIS, but that is one part only. The second part and most important part, which we'll have to focus now, will be on the accuracy of the data. So as I was speaking about our understanding of what ROR is, we used to understand that it's the textual data that's important. Now we are shifting to the cadastral data being more important. The second part of the work is that, as we did with the textual data, like digitally signing a Sadbara or the ROR and guaranteeing that whatever is written on the record is certified by some authority. That was the guarantee by the state. Same thing has to be done for the map also. Like just publishing a map, putting it on GIS platform with a little bit of accuracy or maybe no mention of accuracy is not going to be sufficient. It has to be again digitally signed, accuracy well defined. If the accuracy is not defined, the disputes remain. And I think that is one part where the state government, the central government have to now focus. And there's going to be focus because the state government, the central government has been incentivizing the states in not only digitizing the map, georeferencing them, but making it more accurate. I'll share 1 or 2 slides ahead where I'll tell you how we are trying to make it more objective. So when we see a map, what do we see? We see boundaries, but we don't know whether those boundaries are accurate or not, they are certified or not. How are we trying to make it more accurate and make it public also, so that whenever you see a map, how do you, are you sure that this is going to be good enough for me to conclude a transaction? I don't know. We have to reach that stage, and Department of Land Record has already made committees, and we are also part of the committee where we are trying to evolve a standards for creating maps and also populating the data metadata with the maps, because we know that land record and land administration is a state subject in India. So every state has its own rules, regulations, and laws. And what we understand by of about a word in Maharashtra or in Bihar is not the same what we understand the same similar word in, say, Tamil Nadu or Haryana. So it's quite diverse and it's very difficult. And we have been trying for the last so many, I think 1 year, to grapple with this issue of how do we make, how do we standardize the text or the fields, so that if you see a word written in a ROR in, say, Bihar, and if you see a similar word written in Marathi or in Gujarati or in Tamil, are you able to get the same idea, or are those words are equivalent? So we are trying to do that, and it's very difficult, and we have not been able to do it. And I don't think we'll be able to do it. We will be able to just indicate that these are similar. These are not, they are not same. So that work is being done by YASHADA. Our team is there. So those are the challenges. And when we are sharing the data of land record, because within the state, everybody probably understands what is the meaning of a word or a field. But when we are sharing it across the states or in the country, then we have a problem, because if you are not on the same platform in terms of the meaning of data, then we'll not be able to share and understand it in a similar fashion throughout the country. So a typical the problem that we face in digitization in the country, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, and some other states are quite ahead in digitization. But I come from Bihar, Jharkhand myself. I have worked in Maharashtra, so Maharashtra is quite ahead. But one of the problems that we see in digitization, and it's all across the state, irrespective whether it's a rural area or an urban area, because it's the central authority which does the digitization. So one of the problems that we see in digitization is that we digitize the textual as well as the cadastral part. However, there is no mechanism created by law, by rule, to administer it. For example, if there is a data, if there's something about ownership, and you want to contest it, so there's a hierarchy which will go through it, which will attend to you, and there's a process defined. How do you contest a data? So that facility, as of now, very few states have, where there's a digital data. Textual data is still fine because we have been trying to digitize the textual data for a long time now, and we have achieved a kind of stabilization there. But the geospatial data, we do not have a system where you as a citizen can come to us and say that this is the wrong data, or please correct my data. I don't have a process now which will guarantee that whatever you are claiming, there's a process by which I go through, I go to the field, or my people go to the field, ascertain everything, and come back and correct it, and you are satisfied, or you can further appeal. So that process is missing. For example, I'm from Jharkhand, and I know for a fact that, I mean, in Maharashtra, the digitization of record has happened long back, and I can very certain, with a lot of confidence, say that the data that you get today on our portal is probably 95 to 97% accurate. I can very safely say that, because there's a process involved of correction of data every year, and everything is online, so people can see, contest, get the corrections done at a very decentralized level. Though the data is centralized, but the processes of changing the data, contesting the data is decentralized. So that's the good part. However, in some of the other states, especially in Jharkhand, where I come from, Bihar I come from, the data is digitized, but you're not sure whether it's 30% accurate or 40% accurate or 50% accurate unless you confront it. And I have experienced it personally, once you confront a wrong data, what to do about it, how do I get the corrections done, I'm not sure. So with digitization comes a greater responsibility of creating a system which will automatically give us a feedback loop, and which needs to be incorporated in the digital system, where things can get corrected at the decentralized level. So the power of contesting data has to go to the website, where I can, sitting at my home, contest it and then get it corrected. And I need not go to the office of Tehsildar, I need not go to the office of Talati and revenue inspector. If I have to go there, then there's no meaning of digitization, because I can get the digitally signed data in sitting at my home. But if I want to contest it, I have to go to SDM's office or collector's office. That's not digitization. So I think that part is going to be a challenge for all the other states. Maharashtra, it is much ahead, but other states is going to be a challenge. And same thing goes, as I said, with the cadastral record. Cadastral record is a totally different ball game, and it needs a lot of strengthening of administration as it is there in the country, in the state, because training of staff handling GIS is going to be very, very important. And we have tried to do it through our association with private engineering colleges. We have roped in VNIT in Nagpur, COEP in Pune, one institute in Aurangabad, to train our people, our surveyors, our officers, our staff, in how to, first of all, understand the jargons that we use in GIS, and then to actually use normal softwares, either QGIS, ArcGIS, and many other softwares are there. So unless we make the existing administrative setup that we have, we cannot do away with the setup. Unless we make this setup adapt to the new technology, this is not going to happen, and we will have a bad record. If we have a bad record, then the problems will linger, and there'll be, we'll find it very difficult to have a solution for this. Going ahead, I think the challenge will be that how do we not only digitize our records, but there are two more things that we have to do. One, as I said, make it transparent. So while digitizing, we only think that we make the process online, process digitized, data digitized, but then whether we are making it accessible. In most of the cases I have seen, this is not part of the RFP or part of the job that is given to either vendor or NIC or whoever is doing this job. That's not part of their work. So how do we think that along with making the data digital, make it public, and public in a meaningful way, which means transparent in a meaningful way? Second most important thing that we'll have to do, and we are doing in Maharashtra, Karnataka, in other states, Tamil Nadu, for example, Kerala is doing very well. So in all these states, what we have done is to connect all this land related data, both map and textual data, to various other departments which are user departments. For example, urban town planning department is a big department which uses our data. Agriculture is a department which uses our data. Many other forest uses our data, PWD uses our data. All the acquisitions that are happening now in and around Pune in MMR, those are being done with the help of rovers now. So before deciding for which alignment to choose for a particular road, if we are able to visualize that this particular alignment, can be many options, but this particular alignment will have least problem in terms of acquiring land, in terms of complexity of the disputes, etc., and in terms of the features that come on its way. For example, if there's a nala, there's a forest, or many features that are problematic because they're difficult to acquire. So if you are able to do the planning, maybe 50% of the cost and time can be saved. And this is now being done because we have availability of these maps in a digital form. They may not be very accurate. We are not certifying the accuracy of it. In Maharashtra, we are trying. So let me, I think I have 2-3 minutes now. I'll share if I think it's allowed. So I'll share 2-3 slides, which are like just idea only.
Do you know how to, there's a share button at the bottom.
Yeah, I can share. So I'll share. Yeah. So tell me if it is.
Not yet. We can't see it yet.
So is it visible now?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think he's allowed to share.
No, I'm allowed to share it. There was a security.
Does it tell you that you can't share? If it doesn't, then you can.
Okay. No, I think there's some setting issue. So leave it. It's okay. It's fine. Maybe I'll send it later on. So whenever we are creating maps here in Maharashtra, we are also looking at the actual position on the ground and the maps that we are creating, which obviously have latitude and longitude.
Sorry, Mr. Sudhanshu, you can share. Your permissions are there for you to share. So could you please try again? It'll be great to see the images.
Okay. So let me.
So there's a green share button at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, is it
Yes.
visible now?
Yes, it's doing it now. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so just an example of how we do and we are trying to do, and it is applicable everywhere, rural, urban, everywhere. This is an urban map. So this is this is on Google Map. So if you are able to see the red boundary, or this is a two adjacent plots, and there are two kind of boundaries that you see here. One is a solid line boundary indicated in red, and another boundary which is a broken line. Are you able to see the broken line boundary also?
We can see a red boundary. I don't know.
There are two boundaries. This is the broken line.
Yes, we can see it. Do you
Yeah.
think you could increase the size of the image?
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. So you can realize, you can see, and by the way, this is against the Google Map. Google Map is also not very accurate, and there's a shift which is inbuilt in it. So you are able to see the position on the ground is different than what is record. Record is the solid line. So the entitlement of that particular person, as per our record, is the boundary which is indicated by the solid line, and what is there on the ground is different, isn't it? So in fact, the possession on the ground is more than what is the entitlement. So which means that this DAW will be in a position to give the map which is as per record, along with the latitude and longitude, which is going to be increasing the transparency. But the discrepancy with the ground situation remains. So what we do? Is to measure that discrepancy. We cannot correct it unless there's a process that is followed for correction of the record, or either the person has to leave the possession which is with him, which is extra, or or we have to correct our map, either of the two. So one has to go through the process. But what we can do now with this technology is to become aware ourselves and make people aware about the discrepancy. So what is the data that you should see at the bottom? GIS shift. I don't know whether you're able to see this. This is the GIS shift. So 19% shift is there. So if we are able to get this discrepancy in a very transparent manner, we also can do as department something about it. We can start the process of correction, etc., on our own. But if it is given to public, then people also on their own, maybe interested, they can go to the office, they can ask why this shift, what is the issue. Neighboring plot holder can also approach. So things can start happening. So that is what I think is going to change the way we look at land administration once these digital maps and the record start coming in. And one last slide I want to show, which is very important, I think. Are you able to see this?
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the last slide. So even digitization, we have, we say as government, we say that we are digitizing and we are digitizing accurately. But are you sure, as a citizen, are you sure that what I'm saying is correct or not? We are not sure. So as we measure GDP, as we measure fiscal deficit, as we measure so many things through indices, why don't we have an index of record of right? Because unless we have a very accurate, very transparent, objective index, we are not sure what the government or what department is saying is actually correct or not. I told you that my data is 95-97% correct, but there's no reason why you should believe me. Or I told data about Jharkhand, Bihar. I don't know whether you should believe it or not. But if there is a record which is which there is an index which is based on record which is there in our database. I mean, it's coming from our database. So if we have, this is a very simplified version of a proposed index which we can actually develop and which is very easy to get. Any database will give you very simply this data, and for which for every data there is a score, and there are 3 parameters, 2 actually 7 parameters in all under these 3 broad parameters. And if you get marks for each parameter. So for example, textual record, if it is digital, yes, 1. No discrepancy in ROR, which is easy to find, you get yes and 1. Cadastral record, if there is 1-to-1 map for each record, yes, 1. Digital and available online, yes, 1. If it is no, then it will be 0 or -1. It can be -1 also. I mean, it depends on us. Correctly georeference, yes. And how do you measure if it is correctly or not? We can have a percentage. For example, I showed you 19%. It could be 5% and below. All those things can be designed. And whether there is a match between the textual and cadastral map. So that's very important. The third part is very important. So if the match in area is less than 5%, the possibility of a dispute is very less. If the match in boundary is less than 5%, meaning the difference is less than 5%, then the possibility of dispute is very less. So we'll give more marks. So if my property, so this is like a 7-star property, if everything is yes, then my plot of land is a land which is 7-star, or it could be 2-star, 0-star also. So what it does is it gives this data in public and allows the market to operate. Today we don't know the data that we are getting about a plot. How do I interpret it? Unless I go there, do a lot of research, get a lot of data from the office, and then somebody, after a lot of time and a lot of cost, gives an opinion whether you should purchase this plot of land or not. But I think with this index, it is easy to just get it from the database and present it in a form of an index. So as I showed you that particular 2 pieces of land, if suppose the first piece of land is 7-star rated and the second piece of land is 2-star rated, these 2 pieces of land plots will command different rate for any transaction in the market, because this information is public. Now the person who's going to purchase the first piece of land with 7 rating will certainly know that this is a more valuable land, and the second one is a less valuable land. And the owner of the second land will wonder why my property is 2-star rated, and probably he will make an effort and go to office and try and do something about it. So I think let not only the government work on land record and digitization, but also the market. So which means decentralization of the power of changing the map or changing the data is, I think, going to be one of the issues where we have to, as a state, deal with. Thank you. I think my time is up. I've taken 30 minutes.
That's okay. Thank you so much. This was really interesting and insightful. I have loads of questions, as I'm sure lots of other people have too. But if you don't mind, Mr. Sudhanshu, to wait till we have had Mr. Shekhar Gaikwad present his keynote, and then we can maybe take both of your presentations together, because there would be a lot of connection between the two.
Sure, fine.
If you can hang on until this impersonal Zoom platform, then we will have Professor Shaban introducing Mr. Shekhar Gaikwad.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful talk. And thank you, Anna. Now we have a second speaker and a very senior IAS officer, Shri Shekhar Gaikwad ji, who is joining us, and he is Additional Director General of YASHADA. He had held several posts and also had worked a lot on the digitalization, and also has written massively on the Maharashtra land records. He was earlier Commissioner of Sugar in Maharashtra, Municipal Commissioner, Pune Municipal Corporation, and also was the Collector of the Samli district. Many more records actually has, but sir, I will not take much time. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, friends. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yes. Thank you, Sudhanshu sir, and faculties of TISS and my friends. The topic allotted to me is land governance, strength, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats, and probably the recommendations for policy and practice. If we talk about strength, as sir rightly said, we are on the digitization mode right now. Under DILR MP program of Government of India. Now, what we see on the ground is, as rightly told, digitization is not exactly, reaching to a point where people get satisfied. Now, that is where there is a gap. We are right now documenting the glossary of revenue terms for the first time. Even after Mughal period and British period, this is for the first time that we are practically documenting all the terms being used on record of rights, registration, land records, ROR, etc. And what we find is, there is no standardization in the manual records being kept over the years. Now, some parts of UP have records in Urdu. We found that in Andaman Nicobar Islands, some of the larger areas of Andaman Nicobar Islands are not at all mapped and they are out of map. And eastern states like Meghalaya, where there is a local governance system, their land record is practically missing, and there's no question of digitization also. They are saying that there is no public record and we just keep registers of lands. So this is a scenario right now. And even after 20 years of, say, digitization effort, we couldn't standardize, as Sudhanshu sir told. Institutional and legal framework is there in all the states. So one of the strengths of this program is probably we have established legal framework for land records in all the states. We have mechanisms like revenue registration, land tribunals, revenue commissioners, and revenue courts in place. However, the procedures are not standardized. And you don't find the judgments like e-court platform. You get all judicial judgments. You don't get similar judgments about revenue officers' orders in West Bengal or Bihar or Maharashtra. Even Maharashtra also, hardly you will find a transparent system of e-court. Then one of the other strength is use of this modern technology like GIS mapping, satellite imagery, and bringing a lot of transparency in land use and ownership. Of course, there are still challenges. We were given a task recently to see how far digitization has succeeded in 5 states. So we found that almost it is 98+% in Maharashtra. In Sikkim and Tripura is slightly less. Andaman Nicobar Islands, whatever areas they are surveyed and there is manual record, they have digitized 100%. And Goa also, they are almost following Maharashtra. But there are issues like, for example, do you get 712 extract online? Yes. Maharashtra, yes. But other states, there's still issues. There's no online payment method. You need to go to a government office with a print, and then they will keep their stamp or something like that. And so, in spite of technology being in place, there are some issues. Then judicial recognition of land rights, particularly for marginalized groups, there are issues. About opportunities, I will say that we are for the first time leveraging technology like AI, blockchain, GIS to make land transactions more transparent and efficient. Integrating land governance with climate resilience, sustainable agriculture, urban planning still remains a slightly, um, distant for us right now, but there lies our opportunity right now. Say we are talking about AI in sugarcane right now, in other crops, probably next 10 years down the line, we might use precision farming methods like exact use of moisturizer, moisture percentage to water the plants or food crops or probably even cereal crops also, where this is a roadmap for agriculture. And the precision farming that exists in Israel right now is altogether missing in countries like bigger countries of agriculture, like even China or Brazil or for that matter, India. Urban planning also, there are a lot of issues. Slight progress has been done in property, creation of property records. But like whether a simple question, I was municipal commissioner of Pune, not 100% properties they have PMC has the land record number one. Those are not even covered for taxation, and they really don't know how many story buildings they have created. And there lies one more opportunity about which even Sudhanshu sir had taken a lead of creating vertical land records. Right now, we are only, we have records of either plinth area or the land record. These are the only two things, but we are not talking in terms of the verticals. And since the property is worth crores of rupees nowadays, if you buy a flat on say 10th floor, you don't have land records right now. You only have a land record in the name of society or apartment, and that is a problem. And there lies the opportunity for the land record department. Then linking land governance with economic growth by easing land acquisition for infrastructure and investment. This remains a huge task. In fact, my experience on the ground is quite different. Whenever we are acquiring land for bigger land projects like airports and national highways, the litigation is going up. And it is mainly because of the, conflict of interest among family members and uh, women land rights and giving of the easementary rights. So lot of complications are arising. The current year's figure is around 4.8 crore cases pending in different courts of India. And the figure for Maharashtra is around 40 lakh. So almost 90% of this litigation is related to land. And, uh, you know, uh, people, because of the value of land is increasing, there are more and more litigation around land acquisition process and compensation being given to the landholders. Then the another opportunity for us is to expand the participatory approach like Gram Sabhas, especially in case of community land holdings, and wherever we have given forest pattas to tribals under the Forest Rights Act, there the property extracts are still in the name of forest department, and the patta holder is in the other rights column. So there are rights revolving around uh, their easementary rights, their raising loans, and the bottlenecks involved. Then last week only Government of India was asking us as to how many women landholders are there in the country. And right now, because that particular field is altogether missing for record of rights, is very difficult to find out how many women holders are there. Not even in one state we could get this figure. And that seems to be an opportunity for or a roadmap for us. Then the weaknesses and threats in the present land governance system, most of them have been discussed by Honorable Sudhanshu sir. but fragmented and outdated land records, is mismatching between textual and spatial data, slow dispute resolution system, and millions of land cases pending in different courts, no standardized procedures of giving judgments. Now, in spite of the fact that entire land revenue code is common for the entire state, you will not find a judgment of Tahsildar of Nanded matching with that of Nasik, or circle officer judgment in Parbhani is not exactly will match to circle officer judgment in Buldhana. So there is no standardization, there is no common understanding among all the revenue officers. Same is the case with judiciary. I have been raising this issue for many years now, that why can't we have similar judgments? Because anyhow, we can standardize with the AI now in place. Probably we can codify the things, that if A is the case, B has to be the solution for that particular matter. But then the advocates tell me that it depends on case to case basis. And then if we boil down further, and if we pinpoint a particular case, they say it depends on the factual evidence. So that is just like, I feel that we can standardize judgment making process. And the, number of combinations that might happen can be, drafted and codified in some certain law, so that, people also come to understand that if X is the case, Y is the solution for that. And it can be converted in a, mathematical format. So that is quite possible. Then the bureaucratic delays and corruption in registration, mutation process, measurement, etc. That still remains a big weakness for us. Unequitable land distribution. And vulnerable groups often get excluded from land ownership. And for example, Resettlement Act. I could work on this particular state act for many years, and I found that, slowly the political leadership became very liberal, and the persons who got submerged in the irrigation dam, they were initially called as project affected persons. But nowadays they are calling one who is getting benefit through canal and losing a land of say 1 hour or 5 hour or 10 hour is also being called as PAP. So everyone is being, as a popular measure, they try to cover everybody under PAP, and that has diluted the process of benefiting the genuine, people who got submerged in the irrigated dams. So these are some of the weaknesses. About the threats for land records, or the first threat is rising land-related conflicts. Recently, we were discussing how much area is occupied by at least 20 metropolitan cities, and the area comes not even 0.005% of India geographical area. But still, the land prices, the 500 crores or 800 crores per acre of land being sold in South Mumbai is not matching anywhere in the world. We have so high land prices. Like even New York doesn't have that much of land rate. So this is a quite inflated kind of land valuation, and we have so far in governance also, we have neglected valuation part of it, factors affecting valuation of properties, and because that is ultimately leading to conflicts, and it is affecting the expansion of industrial projects and urban expansion also. Then encroachment on agriculture, forest and common lands is of serious concern, and it's a big threat. Even government lands are almost, most of the slums would be, you will find they would be on the government lands. So that is another issue. Climate change impact like floods, desertification, and which is also putting pressure on land use. Probably we haven't thought about climate change versus land use, floods versus, land rights being affected. So we need to work on this, and these are like the landslides. Somebody last week was saying that we might probably lose complete hilly areas of Uttaranchal. Now, there is a reason to worry about that, and there are issues related to land rights. Then rapid urbanization without adequate land use planning, leading to very informal kind of settlement, and then it is leading to slum rehabilitation program, and then the compensation packages and additional FSI, and then road blockages. So it's a kind of a vicious cycle which is leading to complex urban life. Pune has almost become the most fourth congested city in the world, and there are with additional FSI being given, we will have 30-story building on 9-meter road, and we really don't know what would happen to drainage, land use, parking, and other issues. So urban, I think this would be very severe impact of this mismanaged land reforms. Then recommendation for policies and practices. First would be like, can we have a single integrated land authority, at least in a state? If it is a state act, we need a state-wise single land integrated authority, which can oversee the functioning of registration, land record department, and revenue department also. So it's high time we have some powerful authority backed by technology. Second is digitization and geo-referencing of all records, as Sudhanshu sir told. Third is strengthening the legal provisions of women rights and tenancy reforms, because there are conflicting provisions of Succession Act versus Marriage Act versus uh, women's individual land rights, and since women get land from both the sides, parent side as well as husband side, so that is creating social unrest also, and we have not enoughly studied these issues in micro details. Then we need some national land use policy integrating agriculture, forestry, environment, and urbanization, because that would only indicate the the roadmap for each department working right now in silos. Railways and defense, they are sitting on a huge land bank. They really, they are yet to formulate the policy for proper land use. Railway, we have seen in Mumbai, land worth crores of rupees is being, encroached upon, and there is no enough, scope for broadening of railways or having extra lines in Mumbai. So these are a lot of complicated issues. Probably we need to think about decongestion of cities like some of the Western countries have done, because that is going to affect our resources very dramatically and very stringently in urban areas. So urbanization and land use policy, environment and land use policy, forestry, agriculture, and the women and vulnerable sections land rights. Then community driven land management, that is also missing. Almost we lost in 100 years, we lost all the government grazing lands in the state. Right now, these could have worked as lungs for the congested societies, but probably we need to completely rethink about settlement patterns in coming urban cities or even smaller urban towns. Then practical measures, I would suggest that blockchain and AI for transparent land transactions and fraud prevention, establish fast track land dispute resolution tribunals, build capacity of revenue officers for technology and participatory planning, encourage public-private partnership in land record modernization, and then promote awareness campaigns on rights, entitlement, grievance mechanism. So as a closing note, I would say land is just not asset, it's a foundation of livelihood, identity, security. Better governance of land is not only about improving land record, but is also about ensuring justice, sustainability, and inclusive growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaikwad, and thanks also for keeping so promptly to time. So now we have actually